Welcome to Mic Check with Nikita. Emily Moore. Thank you for coming to Mic Check with Nikita.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, so one thing I just want to say, and I'm probably going to say this in the next few episodes that we record, but I came to you with an idea. It took you 5 minutes to say yes.
It didn't take me 5 minutes. The second she pitched it to me, I'm like, heck yeah. I absolutely love it.
I am honestly very grateful and thankful that every single person that I've approached to do this has just within a few minutes has said yes and has really loved the idea and has been fully supportive since the beginning. So for me, that's a blessing. And for everyone, just so that we can just reiterate why we're here, right? I think that our community really deserves a digital footprint, more so for artists that aren't like our big names like Raymond, Ravi, and Ki, right? We all have a background. We all have places that we come from. We all are also making our marks in this industry in some way, shape, or form, whether it's good, bad, in the middle, right? And I do think that as an industry, that's a really big deal, right? And I say that in the sense of when I was starting off talking about this podcast, researching people that I wanted to actually interview and actually have these conversations with, it was very hard for me to find anything online about anyone in our industry mainly, aside from our big names, right? And that's because we aren't a big industry. We aren't as well recognized within our community or within the overall West Indian community, right? Or the Caribbean community for what I'll say. And I do feel like that needs to be recognized because for most of us, especially the people that have been in the industry for a really long time, this is their livelihood. And we do make pretty great content. So I think it needs to be recognized. But that being said, you were one of the people that I wanted to bring onto this podcast because you've only been in the industry for what, 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years. And you've also been making your mark. You've hit some of the biggest stages. Yes. The most recent being Reviver 2025.
That is correct.
That is actually a really big achievement. And
yeah.
I commend you on that. And I say that because being on that stage, one, in front of all those people, that's a huge deal. But you also were a part of an event thrown by a company or a production that is the main Caravana company, right? Being recognized by that production of that caliber is a really big deal, especially someone being so fresh and new in this industry. So before we get into what you've recently done and go further into that, I want to know about your background. From what I know of you, and for those who don't know, you don't really have like a godfather in the industry. No. You've basically come from a family that doesn't really have affiliation for anyone in the industry. So take me back.
All right.
What made you be interested in performing arts, and what basically made you feel like this is something that you wanted to pursue?
So taking it back to when I started enjoying these things, from when I was little, if I watched like any video from when I was, those little home videos, I'm always singing. I was a ballerina in some of the videos. Like I've just always enjoyed dancing, singing, painting. I'm not good at it. I'm a terrible artist, but I enjoy it. Anything creative, I really, really, really enjoyed. But singing was always my favorite, especially when I was younger. Specifically in one video, my mom really wanted me to eat. And the only way, like I was just always singing. She's like, can you stop singing and eat your food? And I'm like, no. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it just shows that I've always enjoyed singing.
Yeah. So when you, I guess it's safe to say when you basically hit like junior high school is when you really started pursuing like performing arts. Was that?
So specifically with performing arts, when I was in elementary school, we're taking it back here. Yeah. I was in choir. So that's where I was like singing, just regular school choir. I always did like solos and that kind of stuff. Whenever our PA system broke down, I would always sing the anthem. So those are just small things where I just always, anytime there was an opportunity to sing and I was presented it, I definitely took that opportunity. And when I was in grade 8, so I'm Canadian, for those of you who don't know, and basically that's when you go to high school. I don't know what came in my mind to decide to apply to Performing Arts High School. I had no like real formal training. So that was very interesting. And I applied to the Etobicoke School of the Arts, which is the oldest freestanding high school that's arts-based. Now, the other ones are proximity-based or they're lottery-based, but this is the only high school in Toronto at the time that you could apply. And the only way to get in really is if they accept you. And I went for the audition, and it was the most scariest thing I've ever done at that point in time. But I was lucky enough to get in, and I was the first person from my elementary school to go to ESA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so that already showed that you had natural talent from when you were younger, basically.
I don't know. It was so fun.
So now going into pursuing this, artist career, basically, right? Just taking it back a little bit. Culturally, usually brown parents, right? They come to the country or come to Canada, come to America, and they kind of want something more for their kids, right? Whether it be pursuing a career as a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer. So being an artist, specifically in the chutney or chutney soca industry, what was that conversation like? And what actually made you say, like, this is what I want to pursue?
You know what? I have to say, I have a very strong support system. My twin pillars are my parents when it comes to anything I do, whether it be arts, like career-wise or anything. But for me, specifically, when it came to the arts, it was always seen as a hobby. Growing up, my parents would always say, well, specifically my mom when it came to education, because she's, a stickler for ensuring that we had a great education. And basically it was, if you get good grades, you can sing. If you get good grades, you can join the theater club. But good grades were a given. And luckily, I was very hard, driven to get those good grades so I could continue working and doing things and learning and being creative, that I was an honor roll student up to university.
Now, what was that moment that clicked for you? That this is, I want to create a song and be an artist within our industry.
So the moment that clicked, actually, these things, I believe in this thing called divine timing. I can't explain it because the click moment, everything just fell into place. Yeah. So my Sweet 16, I've always enjoyed singing, but at the time it was very difficult, specifically because I don't have, none of my family members are musicians. I, at the time, didn't play an instrument. Like, I knew absolutely nothing. At that point, other than the training I did vocally, I didn't know anything else. I know you have your karaoke, you have your vocal technique, sing. But I didn't know how you could get instrumentals. And then eventually I figured it out through a lot of research. And I was able to get a couple instrumentals. And I sang at my Sweet 16. Specifically, the video was Shamsunder. And I uploaded it to YouTube. And it did pretty well. I had a couple thousand views at the time. And at that time, 1,000 views were like money to me. I was so excited and all those things. And I had a couple other singing videos from like vocal competitions and stuff on my YouTube channel. But what happened is when I turned 19, because that's the age that you can start being an artist in Toronto, because that's the legal age where you can get into clubs and different venues and that kind of stuff. So I reached out to a promoter on a whim. I'm just like, you know what, Mom and Dad? It's Carbana Thursday. We always go, well, they always went on this boat cruise, and they always talk about how nice it is. It's called Carnival on the Lake. It's basically this boat cruise, and there's a concert, and all the big names have performed on it. And I said, listen, I'm just going to shoot a DM. The worst he can tell me is no. The promoter's name is DJ Navi. I call him Uncle Navi. Thank you, Uncle Navi, for this break. That break that he gave me, because I don't know where I'd be I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having this conversation. And basically, I went on the boat. He gave me 2 songs, I think it was. And he said, come, I'll have a ticket for you there, and I'll put you on. And then I went, and I did it. And I said, you know what? This is so cool. This is so cool. And I just felt different. So it wasn't necessarily a click, but when you're on stage and you're doing something that you really love, and you're seeing people enjoy it, and you see the little eyes glitter and they're just really enjoying it. People are bouncing, people are vibing, different people enjoy music and entertainment in different ways, but you can just tell that they're having a decent time. And that's the moment I'm like, this is so cool. But I didn't know what the next step was. And then I'm just telling the whole story
ahead.
here.
We want to hear it all.
Because I could just play it in my mind and it's still there. And then a DJ by the name of DJ Slim. Slim, I love you. He comes up and he's like, he thought it was Vanita Willie. The reason he thought it was Vanita Willie is because I sang Pua and I sang one more song. I sang Pua and I sang, Vanita Willie's other song. Push up a lighter. Yeah. So that one. And he thought it was Vanita. And he said, Vanita came to Toronto and she didn't call me? Like, what's going on here? But he came up and he saw it was me. So he gave me his card and he's like, call me. And I'm like, this looks like a movie, huh? But anyways, we waited after the show and we spoke with him and he introduced me to Mix For You, Raj, and Crystal Vibes, Vic Jagmohan. And they said, listen, so Slim really vouched for me and he's like, this girl is good and all these things and I really think you should put her on Chutney in the Park. And they were so nice. They were so, so nice that they're like, she's a young kid and if Slim says she's good, she's good. Let's put her on the show and see what she can do. At that point in time, so we tied up all the details, when to come in and stuff, and I was so excited. I was so excited because as a kid, I grew up going to Chutney in the Park, and that was just my thing. I just loved it, and it was always a great time. And to be a part of it, to be on the cast, wow, something special. But they said I'm singing for 20 minutes, and I'm like, I was talking to my mom, and I'm like, 20 minutes? What am I going to do in 20 minutes? That's forever. Now being in the industry, 20 minutes is like no time.
Yeah.
But at that point, 20 minutes was very long, but it worked out. And then after that, I don't remember who planted the seed that you should do a song. But I will say that Slim was very instrumental. Like, he always gave his advice. I will say Uncle Raj from Mix For You also gave their advice to say, you know what, maybe she should sing. And then after that, before I even came out with my song, I started getting bookings for various shows to sing, just the regular cover versions of songs.
Wow.
So the ball just kept rolling, but everything just fell into place.
That's generally how it goes within our industry, I feel. It's just that one little start, or not even start, but it's that one moment that kind of clicks it for everyone, even if it may not click for you. Like in that moment where you're like, this is where I'm meant to be, but it's kind of just like the ball is rolling, and then when you finally have a second to breathe, you're like, wait, that was that moment when that made it all real.
I also want to say that I was so nervous to enter this industry, but my parents really supported me and pushed me, and they said, just try it.
Yeah.
They didn't force me to do it in any means. My parents are very shy people.
Yeah.
Very, very shy
I've
people.
met them. I'm aware.
They are so quiet. They're so shy. They're friendly, but the industry is not for them. And they said, try it. If you don't like it, you tried something, you don't like it, that's okay.
Yeah.
And that was something that gave me a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
But I did really like the industry. Well, I really enjoyed singing and making music and producing music and that kind of stuff.
So you did mention a few people that have kind of helped kickstart your career. Coming into the industry, what is one advice that you still hold dear? Well, I mean, it's only been a few years, but what's one piece of advice that you were given that I guess you can say is like your mantra for your career?
I have a couple. The first one is everything takes time. Because when I first started, I always thought, the harder you work, like X amount of hard work, you're going to get it back.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is as time progresses, sometimes you just need that time to learn, grow, observe, but you have to be open to wanting to do that. You shouldn't feel like you can't measure it too. It's very subjective. You can't say, because she did this, I'm going to do this in the same amount of years or less. It's not a competition. I also think it's very important to be you. For me, if I'm making music or if I'm going to a show or something, I need to look like me. I need to feel like me. And especially when I first started, I had a lot of outside people say, oh, you should do this and you should look like a certain person or something. And I'm like, no, I want to look like me. People can take it. People can leave it. This is going to sound so bad, but I just want to be myself. And especially when it comes to my clothing and stuff, I like sparkly things. It's not a secret. If you look at pretty much everything I wear, there are sparkles. But I just love sparkles, and I just want to be who I am and just, enjoy that, because I've heard a quote. I'm not going to remember it properly now, but be you because everyone else is taken. And I think it's so true.
I feel like, and I think we've had these conversations offline as well coming into this conversation, but I think, and this is just my opinion, my humble opinion, and I don't by any means feel like and I can say that I don't feel like I've reached a certain point where I can give advice and also feel like I'm preaching and I should be taken seriously in my advice given. And I say that because as much as I've been a dancer in this community for a really long time, I feel like I'm still paying my dues, right? And the one thing that I can say in all of the years that I've been in the industry is the people that have succeeded are the ones that are themselves. And that's just my opinion and what I've observed. I could be wrong because, again, I don't think that I should. I do think I'm still paying my dues, and I do think that I haven't reached a specific caliber where I should be in that position to be given, career advice, basically, right? But what I say is I just feel like that's worked for so many people that have just been in this industry for a really long time, right? Like if you look at our three, and we call them our three pillars of the big chutney soca industry, right? Raymond, Ravi, and Ki. They each have their own style, right? They each have their own way of looking at things, and you know this by working with them as well. And we'll go back to that at you being 2 years in the industry and already working with everyone. But everyone has their own identity, and that's just what's always worked for everyone, right? So I think you holding on to that, I think it's a great thing.
And I disagree with what you just said, saying that you can't give advice. Nikita, you are so accomplished.
Thank you, but I don't feel like it's there yet, but I appreciate it.
You are so good.
What I do want to talk about is, I guess, just culturally, right? Mm-hmm. You're young. You're 22.
That's correct.
You are only 2 years old in the industry.
Yes.
You're a female in the industry, a woman, in a very male-dominated industry, right? It's very uncommon to have a woman on the top in this industry. We can name a few, mm-hmm. right? There are a few people that have reached that height, but it is very much a male-dominated industry. And I think that me saying that's not controversial. It's kind of a fact, right?
Definitely a fact.
If we literally count the amount of men and the amount of women in the industry, it's a fact. Mm-hmm. That being said, in the few years that you've been here, what are the few struggles that you've noticed coming into the industry?
Well, I want to say, although technically I've been an artist for 2 years, I still feel like I'm in this stage where I'm learning the basics. Yeah. Because I don't have that background of music, production, songwriting, just vocal technique, everything I'm just picking up, stage presence, everything I'm just picking up as it goes. So I would say that I feel like I'm I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me is to just keep learning those basic skills, and then hopefully it'll translate on stage that people are enjoying the performance. In regards to like struggles, that's a big struggle. To go out and do something that you're not 100% confident, or if you feel to yourself that I'm kind of lacking in this area, I need to work on this. But this industry is very learn as you go. And I love it and hate it at the same time for that very reason, because I love that sometimes you're learning something or you pick up something and it works for you. But sometimes you do things and you're like, you know what? That didn't work the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
Maybe I should pivot. Or maybe that worked for somebody else, but that wasn't for me. And those are all struggles that I've really felt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very isolating because, once again, music and the industry and everything is very isolated. And in addition, like, I'm a student. I also work as a designer. So there's so many different facets to my life that I put into with music as well as, you know, keeping up personal relationships and stuff, that you really have to learn to balance your time. But I feel like once you love something, and I don't want it to sound cheesy, but once you love something, it just works out. And I really believe that if you put your heart and soul into something and you work really hard and do the best you can do, not the best anybody else can do, but the best that you can do, and you pray, because I'm a firm believer in prayer, it works out.
So our industry has changed so much.
Yeah.
Since you entered, since, you know, even before COVID, after COVID, and even in the last year, right? We've reached a point where I do feel like we're in a really big space of change. What it was a year ago is not what it is right now.
Yep.
And I say that if you just look at trends in terms of how many shows are being done, how many people are being booked at a specific amount of time, just, you know, numbers, if we want to look at real numbers that way, like in statistics, right? I also feel like there is a huge gap in terms of, if you want to look at like Gen X, millennials, and then the Gen Zs, right? In terms of the push for culture, the want to love chutney music and chutney soca music, and basically just like the overall staying connected to your roots factor, right? So that being said, you are someone who has joined the chutney soca industry, right? And I say those two terms interchangeably because they're being defined in some sort of way.
Yeah.
But what I want to know from you is, being as young as you are, being part of technically the Gen Z generation, you do have a love of our culture. Obviously, I do know in some sense, or maybe in most regards, that also has to do with your parents, right, and your upbringing. But what do you feel as someone of your age that we should, you know, you want to see from the industry, like to push further it? Or is there anything that you personally would like for, you know, just people that are been in the industry as longer to do more of, to bring more awareness to our culture, basically?
I love this question. It's very loaded.
It is.
There's so many things that...
So many.
So I think I'm going to start off with my connection to the culture. I'm very, very in love with our culture. I am a first generation Canadian, but I do identify as Guyanese and Indo-Caribbean. But one of the most important things for me growing up in Canada specifically was I experienced a bit of a cultural crisis. You know, when you go to school, it's a bit more Western. And when you go home, you know, you're doing what you're raised with, your cultural values. But when I was things have changed. I'm young, but at the same time, I'm old. Based on what I've seen with my cousins and stuff, it's a lot more accepting now. But back in the days of my elementary school, specifically, ethnic food, music, and that kind of stuff wasn't really welcomed. They kind of wanted everybody to have macaroni and cheese, you know, like craft dinner.
Yeah.
Craft dinner for like lunch, and you know, just like listen to radio music. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. I listen to all sorts of music, but I also think it's important to represent my culture because as I aged, and specifically in grade 5, I remember there were two sets of people. The people who were very they want to do more Western things, and then the people who started to celebrate their culture. So I think that was the shift in the schooling system too. We started celebrating like Diwali and Holi and all that kind of stuff. So for me personally, I kind of made a choice.
Yeah.
I made the choice that I really love my culture, and I didn't really enjoy having to pretend to like things just because my friends like something, like the Western stuff. There's certain things you like, yes, but there's certain things, specifically the music. I think our music and our culture. So I like the fact that we celebrate all holidays. We celebrate Holi, we celebrate Eid, we celebrate Christmas, so many different holidays. I think it's so beautiful, and we grew up like that. We grew up going to different religious functions. We grew up listening to different types of music. And I think that's the beauty of the Caribbean. I think we have one of the most diverse and welcoming cultures, and we build really great community. And that's something I wanted to be a part of, and I wanted to really celebrate. Not for nothing, but just for myself, because those are my roots. And I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends. And I said, guys, if we don't upkeep our culture and we celebrate maybe somebody else's culture, our culture is going to die. And that sounds like a lot of weight on your shoulder, but guys, if everybody holds up their end, we'll be fine. You asked me something else, but I don't remember the last part.
What do you want to see from our artists in our industry? Like, what advice would you give them from? And I say advice loosely in the sense of being from your generation to push further that culture. Right?
I think we should at least the way I look at it is we should celebrate our culture. The first thing we should do is make our culture known. We should, Indo-Caribbean people are not as, how do I put it? The Caribbean culture is very beautiful, but I also find that people only know the surface of it. So if we can dig a little deeper, this is just me thinking out loud here, I think it would be such a beautiful thing. So people can really enjoy our music. People love our food already, but the music, even theater, I've noticed there's a lot of West Indian theater now up and coming. So that's really cool. But especially like, Burna Boy and Afrobeats. Like Afrobeats is doing so well right now. So I think if we could get chutney soca music to that level, it would be so cool.
Yeah, I also think it's really amazing to see some of the people that have like just created even Instagram accounts, right? Where they're actually researching where we've come from. They're putting posts up about it. Like I'm going to put in a little plug here, but like Cutlass Magazine.
Yeah. Right?
Amazing. Okay.
Yes.
There's so much depth in the posts that they put out and just like in general about songs, like with the music, there was a post and I don't remember exactly when it was, but just about Babla and Kanchan and their journey and then coming into the Caribbean, creating chutney music and being the pioneers of that, right? I think that needs to be more prominent in just our day-to-day, but I also do believe it starts at home.
Yes. I think it's very important. Parents, if you're raising West Indian children, let's celebrate our culture a little bit more extra.
Yeah. I think that it's a really big deal in the identity that we have because essentially our ancestral background is from India, right? We came over as indentured servants. But at the end of the day, we somehow formed our own culture, right? Like we're not just a derivative of the Indian or South Asian descent anymore, right? We are a mix of so many different aspects of the geography, basically, right?
And that's why I think it's so beautiful because it's the fusion. And I also think it's important that we guard it very safely and we don't allow people to make fun of our culture, just like we wouldn't make fun of anybody else's culture, but really own that this is our culture. This is what it is. And, just make improvements to really celebrate it. Because, at least for me, it was kind of difficult, once again, growing up and having to go through this with school because you get very isolated. And I think that's kind of what got me very close with my family and my extended family and my immediate family, because we had that in common. And if those are your roots, there's just something very beautiful about the collective community that you build. Like for me, like my team is very, like my music team is a very tight-knit group, and they just want the best for me. But we have the similar goal in mind, that, these are the roots. But more importantly, this is what I want to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it's just tiny, but it's something.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility in that aspect of spreading our culture?
I never thought about it until you asked me. I've never thought about it in the music sense, but I do think it's important that people understand the history, that how our ancestors came. Because I dove in the rabbit hole and to find out everything and anything I could about where we came from. A lot of people are also, like, they want to know where I got the last name more.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to uncover that truth yet. Apparently, my dad's grandfather adopted the name from somebody, but I've just always enjoyed history and I want to know my family and all these things. So I'm still working on that. But I think it's very important to just teach people.
Yeah.
Teach people about our culture. And a part of our culture is our music.
So I actually want to take it a little bit of a step back, right? Mm-hmm. We went over a little bit of your background. We kind of sped forward and talked about just the cultural collective and us as artists and having some sort of awareness to that. But now I want to talk about more so your music and the fact that you've literally hit a high in just 2 years of being here, okay? And I say that because it takes years to hit Reviver's stage, okay? It really does. And I just want to know, okay, so you were in performing arts. You kind of got your big break on Carnival on the Lake. Your first song.
Yes.
From what I'm aware of and what we've just talked, outside of this, is you had 2 songs in the works.
Yes.
Stay Away and Movie Star.
Correct.
And Stay Away was supposed to be the first one? Or Movie Star?
Stay Away, we started in February. So technically, we were hoping that was supposed to be the first song.
And then you ended up coming out with Movie Star first.
Movie Star came out first.
Why?
The reason it came out first is, honestly, it was finished first.
It was? Okay.
It was finished first. That was a very interesting project. And I've never spoken about it. But it was written by Mahindra Ramkilawan. And it was recorded in the Abadi's studio. So I flew from Toronto. After the song was written, I flew from Toronto to New York, recorded that day, and then flew back. And then within a couple of days, it was done.
Wow.
And that was quick. And then we just shot the video, and I came for the One Guy in a Show, New York.
So what I want to know is, and this is just also a personal thing for me, you had this plan of bringing out Stay Away first.
Yes.
Movie Star came out instead.
Yeah.
Did that stress you out in any way? Did it make you feel like, no, wait, this was supposed to be my first song?
No.
No. You kind of just went with the flow.
You know what?
Or it happened for a reason.
For me, I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason. Not going to say that. I believe in sitting around and things will happen. We were definitely working on it, but I believe that good things take time.
Yeah.
Good things take time, and you don't just put something out because you want to put something out. And that's basically what happened with Stay Away. And I was perfectly fine with it coming out second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the way now it's hard to remember what it was then because I'm very happy with the way it is now. For a second, it was good.
It's always in hindsight, right?
Exactly.
So now, cut to 2 years later, I want to talk to you from a performer's aspect because being on a stage as big as Reviver, feeling that crowd,
Yes.
feeling the energy on stage, I've been there for Reviver 2023, I got to feel like it's just different.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. When you're a performer, I feel like one of the biggest things is you have to, in some aspect, love the performing aspect, right? Like when you're a singer artist,
Yep.
everyone has their good and bads and what they love about the industry, what they hate about the industry, what they love about what they do, what they hate about what they do, or what they tolerate. I wouldn't say hate, tolerate, right? Because we're here for a reason. But when there's some people who love releasing songs, and then there's some people who struggle a little bit performing on stage.
Yes.
Right? But from a performer's point of view, being on a stage that big, being in front of all those people, hearing the vibrations of the speakers on stage, feeling the energy, what was that like? Like, I want to give me it from, I woke up in the morning, I had the jitters. Give me everything for that.
You want the play-by-play of SOS Day?
Yes, I do. Because that, I think a lot of people who have been to Caravana, and, just for the people who are, watching this and don't, kind of understand, the companies and all of those things, the people that put on Colors and Carnival Kingdom are the same people that put on Reviver.
That's correct.
So the same stage that Colors happens, the same stage that Carnival Kingdom happens on, is the same stage that Reviver happens on.
Yes, it is.
So just for context, that is where she performed. She performed the day after Carnival Kingdom.
I love that.
So give me the play-by-play of SOS Day, because Reviver, and kudos to the team of SOS, by the way, because the way they treat their artists backstage, I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
You all have your own dressing rooms, you have your own food, you have your everything that you need.
Yep.
And they are fully there for you. Amit's fully there. I know that for a fact. I've seen him back there before. So that being said, give me play-by-play of SOS.
So SOS was Caravana Sunday. Yeah, it was definitely Caravana Sunday. So I woke up, had breakfast and everything, showered, and before I have a show, I just like to chill out.
Yeah.
So I was just chilling out, getting ready. So I live on the other side of Toronto. I live right next to the airport, and SOS happens on the other side. So that's Markham Fairgrounds. At least this year it was at Markham Fairgrounds. And the thing with Markham Fairgrounds is it's about 45 minutes, but I wanted to be there early. So we got in my car at 12, after hair and makeup, of course. And actually, I made my dress for that event. So I like to do different outfits for certain events. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of time. But SOS was a bucket list thing. Reviver, my apologies. The team, we just say SOS because it's quicker.
You're still part of SOS.
Yeah, it's SOS.
Yeah.
And basically what happened there is, we just drove down. I always walk with 2 cups of water and just drinking the water and chilling out. And when I got there, you get to drive in. Mm-hmm. And you go to the back. Mm-hmm. And this was the first time that this ever happened to me, where you drive in and you come to the back, and then you get picked up on the golf cart. Mm-hmm. So Amit came and he picked me up on the golf cart. He's like, hop on. And I'm like, yay. Guys, I was just so excited to be a part of this event. And honestly, thank you to Andrew Lala, Amit, and the entire SOS team, because it's ingrained in my mind. Jump on the golf cart, and then they take me backstage and, show you your tent, and you have
your name with the
I wish we were in Toronto right now, because I would have showed you guys the foam
name.
board. It has your little picture and your name, and it's really cool. And then you walk into your little dressing room area. I don't really eat before a performance, so there was food and snacks and stuff, but the only thing I really had was water. But regardless, it made you feel really special.
Yeah.
And that, I think it's not only that, it's the performance as well. I guess when you have that adrenaline pumping. So for me, the adrenaline pumps in the morning of whichever show. No matter how big or small, if I have a show or if I'm going to be singing somewhere, the adrenaline pumps. So the adrenaline's there, and I was just ready to go on stage and have a really good time. But you're asking about the sound system.
Well, no, I think that I think it contributes to it, right?
So
having an amazing sound system,
humongous.
It's such a big deal, because it's like the icing on the cake.
As a dancer, I'm sure it plays a role, but as a singer, it's important. Very important that your monitors work properly, your sound system works good, and your DJ's good. I don't remember my DJ's name, but you were fantastic. I should have prepped better for this podcast, but Nikita said, come, we're going to have a conversation. But thank you. It was an SOS DJ, though. And he was fantastic. He paid attention to me, and we just had a really great performance. But the monitors were working well, and because the speakers are so loud, you can feel the stage kind of vibrate.
Mm-hmm. But that adds to your,
and it just adds with
yes.
the jitters, and I don't know. That performance, I can't tell you more about the performance, because once I perform, I don't remember.
I think that's everyone. It just goes by with a flash.
What happened. So I remember how fun it is. And I look back at videos and I'm like, that was a good time. That was a really good time. And I thought I had about 10 minutes to sing. And I thought 10 minutes is okay, but I don't know if I can give my full, performance in 10 minutes because I'm used to doing about 30 minutes. But then I got really positive feedback. I was at an event the other day in Toronto, and people were telling me about the performance. And it's a really special feeling when people remember the performance, because there's so many performers, especially on SOS, you're on such a big stage, you don't necessarily think that people pay attention to the smaller performers, especially when the event just starts. So, and I got a really good time slot, so it was good.
But that also goes to show, again, to your credit, 2 years and you're already hitting Reviver stage.
I'm so blessed. There's nothing more I can say.
I know that's not your biggest crowd because we were on a show together last year.
Talk about it.
2024 in Guyana for Clash of the Titans by Mr. Mahindra Ram Kilawan. 35,000 people?
I
think so.
A lot of people, guys.
Yeah, between 30 and 35,000 people. A huge stadium filled. Mm-hmm. That also, so we talked about this offline. Well, I'm saying offline as if I'm at work, but we talked about this previously. We actually talked about this last night, and we talked about yesterday morning actually. But that weekend for Clash felt like camp.
Yes,
it felt like a field trip for us. When you're someone so new coming into a big, production like that. And the reason why I'm bringing up Clash is not only because of the fact that it was such a huge crowd, right? That in itself is a really big achievement. And also the reason why Reviver for me is a key point for you is because that's your hub, your hometown recognizing you in a really big way.
Yes.
But I want to bring up Clash because that wasn't just a huge crowd with 35,000 people, which is probably the biggest you can actually see in our community, in our industry, so far at least. But I bring it up because it also is an international gig.
Yes.
You're brought to Guyana for that.
Yeah.
But you're also on a production where there is literally almost every single artist from every single part of the world coming for that show. That show had artists from Guyana itself, from New York and the USA, from Canada, from Holland, the Netherlands, from Suriname, Trinidad, all of those places that you can imagine where us West Indians are. Yep. We all came together for one huge show. That being said, being in that environment, and only those of us who have been to Clash can understand what that felt like and how much of a camp that felt like. We were literally in one hotel, mainly. Yeah. And it was, I feel like all of us just occupied the entire hotel. But it was like you went down for breakfast and every single artist was sitting there, whether it be Ravi, K.I., Sandesh Sudin, whether it be Savita Singh. We were all in one area just mixing and mingling. Yeah. Right? For me, what I want to really know is, did you feel a sense of confidence walking into something like that? Or was it more like the first day of school and I'm nervous to make friends? Because I say that because it is a really big deal to be in a room, or not just a room, but like in an environment like that, where you get the chance to network with everyone in our industry, right? So what was that like? Was it like first day of school? Was it like, I got this and I'm just going to be myself and say hi?
Yeah. So I want to say first, I'm getting chills thinking about Clash. We started with SOS, the chills started, and then Clash, it's just there. So Clash of the Titans, I will forever remember that. That weekend was one of the best experiences I've had in my entire life, and I wish I could just replay it over and over and over again, because that's how much fun I had. To answer your question, the first thing I want to say is the reason I was on Clash is there was a post put out by the Firefest Productions saying that they're looking for the fans to vote for a up-and-coming artist that they would like to see. And the fans voted for me.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I started off talking about Clash because I was like, wow, this is a great experience.
No.
But you were voted to go?
I was voted.
Wow. 2 years in.
I
At
felt
that
really
point, it was
special.
1 year.
1 year, yeah.
Wow.
You got to feel special and blessed.
Yeah.
And when I didn't get the call. My manager got the call. So then she had to come and call me and be like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm like, I knew the voting was going on. But I said, the results will come out eventually and let's see. But when we got the call, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain to you how excited I was. Just because the previous Clash of the Titans, I remember I was on my couch with my family and I put on the Facebook Live and we watched it on the TV. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it and I vividly remember my dad saying, you're going to be there one day. And you know what? Like, my dad is not one of those people who, like, says those kind of things.
Yeah.
My mom is more one of those people that, like, you're going to be there one of these days. And that's great. And I absolutely love that about my mom because she helps me to set my goals. But my dad never says those things. So I just thought it was weird. But I'm like, you know what? Good. He's supportive. And I always wanted to go to Clash of the Titans. It was, at the top of my bucket list. But when I got the call, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And after I got the call, then I'm like, I'm going to Clash of the Titans. I'm going to be on the stage with all of my idols, the people I grew up watching. And the good thing is I had been on shows with pretty much all of them at that point. Yes, pretty much everybody. But when you do a show, you don't get to sit and interact. But the first thing I thought about was my outfit. So my outfit for Clash of the Titans is still on my Instagram page. I made a mirror dress. Now, I knew exactly what I wanted in my mind, but I couldn't find it anywhere. The ones they had, I just didn't like them. I wanted to change things, and it just didn't work for me. So I said, I'm going to make it. And everybody's like, what? You can make clothes? I'm like, I can't, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, so not only are you an artist, not only are you working in school, but you can also design clothing at this point.
I'm a designer. I'm a jewelry designer. So I'm like, if I can design jewelry, clothes can't be that hard, right?
But that is still a separate industry.
It's very different. I learned, guys, it's very, very different. I like to be creative.
Yeah.
I was doing cakes at one point, too.
So maybe you can expand the family business and start doing clothes as well one day.
Yeah. But anyway, so this dress took months. From when I got the call in, I think it was March. When I got the call, it was March, and 2 weeks before the dress was done in June. Shout out to my grandma.
Clash was in June.
Clash was in June.
Why did I think it was in March? I don't know why.
It's
Because
usually in March, but they did it for the cricket thing.
Yes.
And so I was working on it, and shout out to my grandma. My grandma is one of those, she's #1 supporter, but in addition, when I need alterations or if I need help to stitch things, my grandma is there. Yeah, Grandma, I know you're listening to this, so thank you. So my grandma worked very hard with me to put that dress together. Because you have to put the tiles on one by one by one by one. It's very time consuming. And especially the first one.
Yeah.
The first one takes a long time. My SOS dress didn't take as long because I knew what I was doing, but to figure it out takes some time. But after the dress was done and everything was done and the set list was done, I was just very excited to go and meet everybody. But definitely first day of school on steroids. I was very intimidated and very scared. I don't think scared is the right word, but I was very nervous. Because especially being 1 year fresh, like I said, I'm just learning all the time. I felt that, I'm still new at this. I don't like I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, and I have all these people here, and all of the Clash patrons are coming, and also all of these artists are here. I don't feel like I belong here. Like that was a big one. I'm like, these are people I look up
like you had
to.
imposter syndrome. Almost.
Imposter syndrome. That's the word. Everybody was so nice, and we spoke about this yesterday.
Yeah,
that trip is one that I will always hold near and dear to my heart. And my parents came with me, so that's always a safety blanket because especially when I feel like that, I can always talk to them.
Yeah,
and that's one thing. Like if you're by yourself, you can't speak to that.
Yeah.
So that's always great. But I got to speak with a lot of artists about just life in general. And then
we had the time to do it.
Yeah, we just sat by the pool.
Yeah,
Princess Poolside with one of those I'm trying to remember what I told you that I liked. The fruit punch.
Yeah.
A nice fresh fruit punch. It has fresh everything, and you have to go before 11. So guys, after you had breakfast, this is how it worked at summer camp. Clash of the Titans. After you have your fruit punch, my apologies, after you have breakfast, they had really nice like local juices, and after everybody had breakfast, and sometimes we would sit together for breakfast too.
Yeah.
Then, you have your fruit punch and you sit, and whoever's there, you just chat with them. Mm-hmm. And I get really inspired by people.
It was, we talked about this yesterday. It was the most memorable trip I think for a lot of us. Yeah. And it was because we got that time to talk to so many people, and everyone was just kind of chill. Like I just remember going to bed like every night at 6 a.m. And I say that because we were just sitting there talking for so long with everybody that you just don't get a chance to talk to. So I'm not going to ask you about anything controversial at all, but I want to ask you about who was like who surprised you the most? Actually, I will say that, like in terms of just being the nicest person or just being the most welcoming, and don't take.
I need to think harder on this.
Yeah, don't take Raymond, Ravi, or K.I.'s name, please.
Let me come back to this question. Give me a different question in the meantime.
You want me to give you my hot take on who was like the nicest?
You know what? Clash of the Titan was a bit of a blur for me.
Yeah.
I absorbed so much information, but I don't, I need to think about it a bit to give you a firm answer about who. I can give you like a top 5, but not like one.
The one person that I actually really, was really not shocked, but I was like, wow, we can get along and this is great. Yeah. Was actually Sandesh.
Oh.
Sudin. And now he's a great friend, which is an amazing thing. But that, I think it's because I had seen him at Reviver the year before.
Oh.
And not that he was standoffish. I don't think neither of us kind of made the effort to kind of say hi and introduce ourselves. Mm. So when we were in Guyana for Clash, I was like, should I say hi? Should I not say hi?
And so you said hi first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what happened was we landed, we checked in, and we went to the poolside because we were told there's a lot of people at the poolside. And it was essentially just Uncle Mahendra and Sandesh was there. Mm-hmm. I forgot who else. And we kind of just went around and just said hi to everybody that was there. And yeah, that was kind of it. But I was like, wow, okay. And then the rest of the weekend, obviously, you had conversations with everybody, and we kind of just, broke the ice a little bit more. But he was someone that I was like...
I'm still thinking, I don't think there was anybody for me that there was ice with. Or
there was no ice.
No, not ice. But yeah,
you were
I get what you're saying.
I guess looks were deceiving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Neelam was also super sweet.
I love Neelam.
Neelam was really nice.
But I'm still thinking, this is a toughie.
Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm still thinking here. I need to relive Clash. That's why I want my replay button. There were really good conversations had at Clash.
Or who was the one person that gave you the most insight on you probably had the most insightful conversation with? I mean, we've had so many conversations.
A lot of the conversations that I had were very personal to the artist, so I don't want to name names necessarily, but the number one advice I got is keep being you.
Yeah.
I got that from numerous bigger artists, and I think that's just one thing that just rings true to me. once again, I don't want to name names about like personal conversations because these are like really personal things, and I take like privacy and personal conversations very serious.
It's a big deal. But you know, that also goes to show like what Clash was like.
Yeah.
Right? Like you actually got to sit down and have these like real deep conversations.
You know what? I really enjoyed it because I really like personal connection and knowing somebody because you have a show on. At that point, I was really blessed once again to have been on shows and like opening for these artists.
Yeah.
But to really understand their life and get to know about like their kids and how like their wife and what do they do, you know?
Yeah.
Or how they started music is always interesting.
Yeah.
Most people started in Mandir, which
I've seen that.
common.
I've noticed that. Most people have started in Mandir or have had family members that have kind of sparked their interest that way.
I think at Clash, at least, I'm one of the only people who didn't get a start in Mandir singing and just
I would say
picked it up. Yeah, most people, they start.
Or like most of us have come from like if we go back to like Ki with Uncle Cappy and the entire Bissasamber family, Ravi's. Sorry, Ravi, if I butchered your last name, but Ravi B's entire family, all the siblings, they all have some type of like musical connect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like everyone in their family, or like it's either Mandir or like we've come from.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I pray and I like go to altar and stuff, but I don't really go to Mandir like that. On Sundays, my parents used to work on the weekends, but I grew up with Sundays are for cricket.
Yeah.
So we would always go to cricket with my dad. So that's where our Sundays would usually be. But it's a different path, but I really enjoy it. And I do want to say that with my 2 years, I'm really lucky that I get to be on shows with people that I've looked up to.
Yeah.
And sometimes I take a step back and I'm like, wow, if I went back like 10 years and somebody told me I'd be getting to have these crazy opportunities, I would not have believed them.
That's like me with this podcast, guys. If you know me, I don't like speaking. So the fact that I'm sitting on a camera looking at this camera and having this conversation with you is insane. Okay. What I kind of want to, I guess, end with is bucket list going forward.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Music-wise, it's very broad. I just want to keep putting out meaningful music that rings true to people. I would like to captivate an audience that is not necessarily maybe they're lost like I was and they're not too sure how to get to listen to music that, you know, let me backtrack here. I would like to make music that is meaningful, that people can feel connected to. And in addition to that, I would also really like to be able to make music that people can share with their friend that's not necessarily Indo-Caribbean or West Indian, but they'll really enjoy it and be like, just like how widely accepted Afrobeats are, or any of those. Afrobeats is just the one that comes to mind, widely accepted. I would like it to be like that, at least my music, so people can connect to it, especially being a first generation. It's a little different than coming from Guyana or Trinidad. So it's a different experience, and I'd like to translate that into music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any stages do you want to hit?
I want to hit as many as I can.
There will be a day that you're at the Caribbean Music Awards.
Nikita, let's manifest it. I'm
manifest
a firm believer in manifestation, and you know, I think manifestation is very important. Goal setting is important. Everything is important, but those are two of my favorite things to do. And be grateful for what you've checked off. Because often when these things are happening, you don't pay attention. So living in the moment, that's one thing that I really want to do.
I actually had one more question for you.
Actually, before I forget, there's one more thing I want to mention that we spoke about this offline. Okay. And I was talking about how I believe when we have shows that it should be like an ensemble thing versus individual performances. So what you just said about the togetherness, I think it would be so cool if we all came together and supported each other like we're doing one show.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. And I think Clash in Guyana does that to some extent, right? That's the first one.
It.
But I do think that, and obviously there's like so many different, you know, logistics that come into play with all of this, right? Visas and in work and all of that stuff and timing and all
tired.
That. Yeah. But I do hope that one day we bring something, at least in like Canada and America.
I would really like to do a bow on stage with all the artists.
That would be amazing.
That is something that, I don't know. It's just really random.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be so cool if we all, just
Did
did
it
a curtain
together.
call kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Almost
Let's
like a
put that
production,
out.
like a Broadway production.
You see, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about. Maybe that's because I went to theater school in high school.
Well, a lot of artists do it with their actual sets,
Yeah, but I don't have
but
a
they don't do
band.
it like, you know what I'm saying?
Like I do a bow,
like
but
a full,
it's not the same.
it's not, no.
Do I collect my DJ and then we go like this? It's not the same. Everybody together is kind of like,
Yeah.
it's going to sound so silly, but in the Hunger Games and Catching Fire,
Yeah.
where all the tributes put their hands like that.
What I wanted to ask you one more question was the inclusiveness of all different, cultures coming together, being a newcomer. Has there been, aside from the people that have given you your start, has there been anyone in your corner that's in the industry that has pushed your way through? And I say that because our business is very lucrative, right? It is also a business where you can actually put and if we can go into so many different aspects of this, like pay parity and all of that stuff. But there isn't if you have been in the industry or this much time and experience, you deserve this amount of money, right? So that being said, has there been anyone in your corner that's been kind of pushing it and that hasn't been the person that helped you with your start?
In the industry specifically?
Yeah.
No. Unfortunately, I don't have that person yet.
I asked that question because it is a very rare thing.
Yeah, I don't have that person.
It is a very rare thing, and I do think, but there are a few people in our industry, and the reason why I asked that question is because I kind of wanted to bring up this point. There are a few people in the industry that are continuously doing that, and I do want to call out a few of them. One of them being Randy Reckless. Randy always does it. You can message him and call him, and Randy's fully prepared to talk to you about anything in the industry, not just in the industry, but personally. But I think by the time this episode actually airs, I may have done the show by then. But we're doing a show called One Chutney Soka Reunion.
Okay.
And Ricky Jai had called me for that event. I'm being featured as a performer. And the reason why I'm asking this is because I do feel like, especially, we've talked about this earlier in the podcast as well, the older generation are the ones that have really understood what it's like to obviously be a part of the industry and been pushing people forward. He's one person that called me and said, I want you on the show, but didn't give me, can you do it for free? Or can you, he just said, what's your price?
That's nice.
And it was kind of nice. Have you reached that, have you been in those circumstances where you've needed to kind of negotiate pricing, or people have said, well, I don't know if that's going to work. Can you bring it down? Or,
you know what? When I first did my, it's now separate. So my manager does all of those things, but she definitely experiences those things too.
Yeah.
Where people there's just certain things that we all need to survive.
Yeah.
And in order to make quality music, you do need to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
All of my music is sponsored currently by my parents and the music fund, but I don't, get outside sponsors. But I think it's really important. I think it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
It just in general, for anybody, whether it's a dancer, singer, if somebody's performing at your event or just any place, they have a talent, and it's just a respect thing to know, respect their price. Obviously, if it's, kind of really out of pocket, then you're like, okay, maybe, but, I think I also think it's a bartering thing.
Yeah, and the reason why I also brought this up is because I just feel like it also goes back to paying your dues, right? You are still relatively new, and everyone has a specific price point in the industry. And, you have to reach a specific stage. It's just like any other industry that you're a part of, right?
I've done free shows before.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. I believe in paying your dues and doing those things. But to do it over and over and over again for the same event with the same promoter,
it gets hard.
It's not supposed to work like that.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. Obviously, there's certain shows that you do, to get your foot in the door. And I'm perfectly fine and comfortable with that. I believe in paying your dues.
Yeah.
But then it becomes, a different story when people just assume you'll do it
It becomes
over
being taken advantage of at that
over
point.
and over again.
Yeah. Well, Emily Moore,
Yes.
thank you so much for being on Mic Check with Nikita. Thank you for being my first that I'm shooting with. I'm hitting the table while I'm saying this. But thank you for, again, hitting the table. Thank you so much for being my first that I'm shooting with. Not sure if you're going to be the first episode, though. But this experience in itself was amazing.
This is my first podcast too, but when you called me and you just pitched like the first 30 seconds, I'm like, yes. Because I told you this when we had our phone call that if there's anybody that should do this, you're the first person that comes to my mind. And I'm so privileged because I love listening to these kind of podcasts from my favorite artists. And I know I'm far from that being a newcomer, but hopefully somebody listens and learns something.
That's the goal.
It's kind of all over the place, but I hope they learn something about me.
Yep, that's exactly the goal. And I think, again, we talked about this when I pitched the idea to you. I really want to bring our entire industry together.
Yeah.
I think we are very siloed right now. And it's not so much as the industry itself, but it's more so geographically. And I think that if we can all come together as one big chutney soca industry, I think that would be a great thing.